it's funny. I got to ask, like, did you feel like a Sex Pistol back in the day? Because that is an evolving story in Toronto specifically, where everybody's got a duster. Like, this is a Movember thing for me, but everybody's got a duster, and the chicks seem to love it.
Yeah, well, I would say, looking back at my history, I would say no, that did not, it did not translate into what you're hoping to pull in here. But I am curious, like, what if November becomes December for you, and you're like, this is it? Like, could it be? Like, what do you think, Rose? You see his face every day.
He rocks the duster oftentimes. I don't get it with the kids. They're going back and the big long pube beards going on. I don't understand it, but again, I'm not down with the times. But yeah, Nick's younger than me. He might rock that thing all year. I've seen him do it without a November reason.
The unkept look seems to be coming back, and there is some strength to that. There really is, because you get up and you just leave, and that's not a bad thing.
There you go. Shit.
Yeah,
well,
very indicative.
On to more important things, Razor. What
there is really?
Oh, these pesky Maple Leafs, obviously, no secret their start. What are you pretty surprised by this, by everything else, and what are you seeing out there by this organization?
The thing I'm most surprised with is just the number of goals that they give up. That it seems unstoppable at various times. And I'm watching the Oilers game last night. I'm sure you guys might have come across it as well. And they gave up 3 in the first period. Washington hit a goalpost and a crossbar. Like, they could have given up 5. And there's certain teams, like Toronto's one of them, St. Louis is one of them, Edmonton, Vancouver, and you're like, it seems like they just bleed chances all the time. And when they try to fix one thing, something else pops up. Might be the goaltending, might be their penalty killing, might be their D-zone coverage. It seems like none of these teams, Toronto's one of them, they just cannot get ahead of it. And I am surprised. You can say there's injuries, but man, in this year, everybody's got injuries. Like, their teams have 5, 6, 7 guys out of the lineup. And if that's the case, I really wonder about playing aggressive D-zone coverage with so many people coming in and out of the lineup. That aggressive stuff is a lot of it is timing. And if you got new guys in and they make not a major blunder, but a half a second blunder, then it just, as we know, it just cascades and ends up in the net. I think that's the thing I'm most surprised with. I didn't have high hopes that Maselli was going to be able to replace 50 points of Marner. I understand, the ups and downs of a guy's career, but I don't see it. And I guess you get to a point where, and we should be, again, Toronto's no different than other places in that you can see the problems, but how do you fix them? Like, it's easy to say, oh, you should go get another D. You should get a centerman, like in Vancouver. Why don't they go get a second line center? Well, because half the league's looking for the same guy. And I guess the other part, out of Treliving's presser the other day, when he said, we too much vanilla, want a little more. And, and that's what Berube's looking for too, is that the guys they brought in this summer, and they haven't been able to provide that. And so you're at a point where you want something, you don't have it. How do you get that? Or do you have to change your thought a little bit to the personnel that you have? And I think they're stuck in the middle, guys. I really do. I think they'd like to play a certain way. I don't know that they have the personnel to do it.
How much stock do you put in this time of year? Of course, American Thanksgiving a week away. We're talking about the quarter mark of the season so far here, 9-9-2, or the Maple Leafs through 20 games. How much stock do you put in everything around them right now in the standings, obviously outside looking in?
A lot less than I used to. If you look at the way the standings are, outside of Colorado and maybe Dallas, and like, how many really good teams are there where you look at and go, oh, I can see what they are? Like, I don't see that with most of the league. If you catch a team on a certain week, you're like, wow, they're really fast. They score, they they get good goaltending. Then you watch them 2 weeks later and you're like, well, that's not the same team. So I would say way less than I used to. What I do think is going to happen is in the next 10 to 15 games, teams will be able to make a determination whether they think, even though they're sort of kind of in the mix, whether they have a chance. And if they don't, I think that's when movement starts to happen where, hey, I got a guy that's not getting it done for me. Maybe you can get something out of him. And the guy that's not getting it done for you, maybe we can change that player out. Like, I just, it used to be, almost 90%, I think, of teams that were in on American Thanksgiving stayed in. And I just don't think that's the case this year. I really don't.
Yeah, especially this year when you look at the standings, they're kind of crazy. Those aside and the tough start aside, talk about John Tavares and how ageless he is and how important he is to this team. And does he play the style of hockey, and are his attributes something that, Father Time won't catch up to him as much as it will for, say, like a speedy winger?
That I 100% agree. I just watched LA the other night. I did a couple other games, and Corey Perry, he's 40 years old and he's never been fast. So they're like, and I'm saying this respectfully, it's like there is no stride to lose. Like John's not going to lose a stride because he's played in a certain style and he's effective in a certain place of the ice that I don't think it changes until he just physically cannot give it anymore. Like that'll happen at some point. I mentioned to Perry, I'm like, most guys, they wear those monitors and they know how far they go in a game. I said most guys measure in miles, his measure in feet. Like he doesn't go anywhere. Yet the puck always comes to where he is because he's in the right place. How many times does you see John like kind of lingering, around the side of the net, or he kind of wanders off into the corner and boom, the puck's there. Like he's always played a certain way because he didn't have blazing speed. It's like it's like Cole Caulfield. I think this is a really good example. Cole has always been short. He's always learned to play as a short guy. I was a short guy. I was never tall and then became short, right? And so you learn what you can and can't do. And that just, if you're effective, why would that change? It doesn't. Like there's a difference between a fast guy that you can see is losing pace. Like they're losing one of the main parts of their toolbox. And that's going to change them as a player. If you're small, short, why would that change? Like you're always the same. John's never been fast. He's always been smart, really good hands, really determined around the net. But I think competitiveness sometimes only gets viewed as somebody that runs into somebody or scrums after the whistle. Or John is super competitive around the puck. You do not win 58% of your faceoffs if you're not competitive, because that's the first one-on-one battle of a shift. And he wins way more than he loses because it's important to him and he's good at it. I think he's had, to me, I'm kind of amazed, and I'm really really impressed with what he's done. Could you imagine their team without this start? Like
I can't. No,
it's amazing. Like he's been one of the really good stories in the league this year.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And such a consummate pro too. Like he doesn't get too high, he doesn't get too low. We sort of forget, like he made a pretty monster decision in his career, took a lot of heat. They still hate him on the island. He's just been, the production's been there day in and day out for JT, even remembering 20 years ago when he was coming up the ranks as a 14-year-old in the OHL. And it's like, oh, this guy can't skate. People, wondered about him, and all he does is produce point after point after point. Speaking of which, Nylander's winner was an absolute joke. It's been interesting from that aspect, Ray, because the point totals are there for Nylander, but I think we all agree there's another level to get to, right?
I think Nylander is an amazing player. I'm a big fan. He's one of the few players when the games get more important, his game elevates. it doesn't shrink. I think November's a really hard month for him because I think his concentration wavers. There are times he's in and out of the game, and then he gets a play or a chance like the other night, and he makes two incredible moves in 15 feet. First of all, though, on that goal, how do you think that video session went in the St. Louis room the next day when they have three guys that could shake hands and the puck comes out to the other team? Like, I love those video sessions when I wasn't in it, because often I was one of those three guys. But if you look at it, like, I don't even know what the hell they were doing there. And I guess that's probably why, that's an example of why they are where they are. But amazing play by Tavares, tremendous play by Nylander, skill wise. And I'm with you. I think there's another gear to him. I think he's just a tremendous player. And the times when he wavers away, you can see where the coaches just, like, they're up in arms at him because they know what's there. Do you guys remember, if you can, because I did this game is the reason I remember it, is the overtime loss to LA. So Berube's in his ear on the second goal. He did not like, that was the one where Fiala shot it 3 times. And, Willie was kind of wandering around. The overtime face-off, Tavares wins the draw. The puck goes behind him to his right. If you can picture that, behind Tavares to his right. Kempe's on the other wing, lined up with Nylander. Kempe got the puck.
Gets there.
That just can't happen. It's on your side. You've got a stride advantage, and he just didn't work to get it. And then LA really didn't give the puck up, and Byfield scored the winner. Like, it's things like that in my mind, don't happen when the games are important to him, but in November they happen, and it's troubling because he's just so good.
And obviously this team's struggling defensively, and people are all up in arms if you criticize Willie at all, because they're like, look at his points. And it's like, well, no one's ever criticized the offensive upside of William Nylander. But when the team's struggling this much, if they're going to crawl out of this and turn their season around, is it not a guy like Willie Nylander, who is a leader and wears a letter, who 100% has to change his mindset and have a commitment to defense, which they're desperately needing?
I don't know if it's you know what I think, Rosie, they don't have, some guys, is they don't understand their impact. Like, I don't think, I don't know because I've never really had a discussion with him, but I don't think Willie would understand what his play does to everybody else. Like, if they see him diving in on a forecheck or coming all the way back and intercepting a pass, like, he doesn't have to lay out and block shots or anything like that. But the effort, I think you're talking about the effort part of it, right? If you're a Pittsburgh Penguin and you're sitting on the bench and you're watching Sidney Crosby at age 38 play the way he plays, do you not go, I got it, my level has to go. It has to go up. When Auston Matthews plays at the way we've seen him play, what do you think everybody else does? They're like, man, if the big boy's doing that, I've got to do that.
Big time.
And so I played in Hartford, and Ron Francis was our captain. And you'd watch Ronnie play and you'd be like, well, he's doing that. Like Ronnie would win faceoffs and check and play around his net. I was never really good in my zone, but I always looked at him and went, wow, like, I got to do that. It was the same. Pierre Turgeon did it. Everybody did it in New York. Like, it's just their importance is outsized to the team. And some guys get it, and some guys really don't maybe understand it. But he can lead by not having those speed wobbles.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to make a speech. He doesn't look, he's a cool guy. He's got great swag. He's got amazing talent. And the times when he falls asleep a little bit, if those don't happen, that lifts your team. And if it doesn't lift your team, then you got the wrong guys, because then nothing's going to lift your team.
Yeah, very infectious. I couldn't agree more with that style of play. But I wanted to ask you as well about Auston Matthews. It's been a struggle for me watching this guy over the last year and a half, just because of all the injury concerns. He goes to Germany. Like, we have no clue what the hell is going on. Do we have to adjust, in your opinion, how we view Auston Matthews moving forward? Like, he's not a kid anymore either, right?
Right. Well, he should be in the prime of his career. The injury stuff's interesting because how do you really know, right? I'm sure you guys are the same as every other fan, and me, is that when I see a guy in the lineup, unless somebody's told me, I assume he's 100% or 95%, right? Like, I'm just assuming that. But what if he can only get to 80%? Like, I don't know that. If he's better health-wise than that, there's way more to his game most nights that we've seen this year, right? And so, do you have to adjust? I guess I'd say this: everybody has a career year, and the 60+ goal year, maybe that was it, right? Maybe that was his career year. But I don't look at Auston Matthews and think he should get 31 goals or 38 goals. I mean, even if he's not 67 goals, or was it 67 that he had the one
69.
year? 69, right? If he's not that, if that's his career year, like, why wouldn't he be 45 plus every year?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I think. He's just, he should be that good all the time. And is it health? Is it application? I don't know, because before he went out this last time, it kind of felt like he looked a little like he used to look. You know, like there was more to his game. And it's a hard one for me, because how do you go from the elite, which he was playing at, to being just one of the guys? Like, I don't see how that happens. And I would have thought that he would have returned more to that other level than he has.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see when he does come back. Even looking at practice today, I guess he's an extra, so he's getting closer. But they initially said like a week.
Right.
We're sitting here at a week. He's nowhere to be found. I
Okay,
understand.
so yeah, but let me
stop
you there, because we deal with it,
Yeah.
I don't deal with anything, but in Vancouver, this is a talking point all the time. They said 2 weeks for Demko, but then it was 3. They said a week for Bluger, but it's 3. And we got to remember, like, if Rosie and I have the same injury, he might heal 5 days faster than me. Like, in some cases, I think we get deceived. Like, the information we get is not factual. In some cases, I think you just have to realize they could say a week, and thinking it's a week, and it turns into be 17 days. And the guy is sitting there, and he's like, and I remember being hurt and saying to the doctor, but you said a week, and I'm not close. And what's he going to say? Well, I lied. He didn't lie. He thought,
no,
he thought that's what it was going to be. And so we all want the absolute truth. We're not going to get that, but the timelines should always be looked at in gray numbers, because it's a human body and people don't know.
That being said, I've never seen them say he's going to be a couple of weeks and he comes back in a week. It's always longer. So I think fans need to wrap their heads around.
Yeah, they do. I got one from the other day. The Canucks were down in Tampa, and Hagel had got cross-checked or punched in the head against Florida a week earlier. And John Cooper said, they asked him when Hagel's going to be back, because they played back-to-back nights. He goes, could be tomorrow, could be a week from tomorrow. And then he played. And I was like, my first thought was, now, as you know, Coop's a trained lawyer. And I'm like, that's a lawyer right there. Because he kind of sort of said both. And I was like, that's really good. I like that.
Yeah.
Under promise, over deliver.
Yeah, over deliver is the key, always.
All right, Ray. We'll see what happens here. They're playing Columbus. I'm still Luke Forum. I said it earlier on in this team. I mean, it's a great win against St. Louis, but you got to double that up. You got Montreal Saturday, then Columbus again next Wednesday. So we'll see what happens. Appreciate your time today.
You betcha. Remember, Columbus can score. They can.
Yeah.
They can
Scares
play a
me.
little wide openish. Yeah, but they can score. They've got some really talented people. So will be fun to watch. We'll see what the next week brings. It's another week, another story.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.